There you go, guys. A very short version of me humming the Avengers theme, and I hope I don't get copyrighted for that. What's up, guys? This is Trav, back again with another episode of the show. This is such an honor and privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to be sitting here with you, talking to you as if we're talking in person, even though I can't hear you. But hey, you can comment, you know. Guys, today is a very special day. A very, very special day indeed. Avengers Endgame is near. Today, as you are listening to this, April 25th, 2019, Avengers Endgame is premiering, at least at my theater. If you're one of those people that thinks that movies only come out on Fridays, think again. Check your theater just in case they may not do it, but most theaters actually release one night early. It's how I saw Star Wars The Force Awakens. I saw it on a Thursday night, a night early. It's not really that much of a secret thing either, because even on Thursday nights, it's a packed house. Packed house. So, we couldn't contain ourselves. Me and Ashley are huge fans of this franchise. The MCU means so much to us. It means so much to me. I've I've been watching these since 2008 when Iron Man first came out. I made sure I saw it in the theater and was hooked ever since. It's a very special day, guys, and I just want to express my excitement for this movie, Avengers Endgame, on the channel in some way, because I think it's important. I think it's really important to talk about it, just because this is the final one for these characters, supposedly. I mean, I'm sure later on in time, you know, we're already getting Spider-Man Far From Home after this, in a couple months or whatever, so it's like, there's going to be more. There's always, the MCU has the potential to go for like another 20 years. If they want to make it like a 30-year thing, they can do it. But as for the main Avengers that we've been seeing since 2008, I think this is basically the end of a chapter. They're marketing it as the end of a chapter, and by the way, this isn't a review in any way. I have not seen the movie, but I thought to myself, I think it's important that, you know, it's celebrated in some way about this movie, like making an imprint, as you could say, just in some form. I thought about this since January. This video has been in preparation basically since January, and even to today, the moment I'm filming this, I'm still like playing it by ear of how I'm going to treat this video, because I personally was going to do a top 5 MCU movies, and then I thought, well, that's great, but what if Endgame blows my top 5 out of the water? What if it's just that good? Because all I'm hearing from everybody is that this is like the best superhero. Like Tyrone Magnus, for instance, says it's his new favorite superhero movie of all time. Now, I'll take that, and I'm not going to say I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, but I am going to be hesitant because I know how I work. I know how my brain works. Going to a movie, seeing a new film, I have to process it. It's just one of those things. Like, so even if I was to make my top 5 after I see the movie, it's like, I don't want to just shove Endgame as, this is number 1. It's just so amazing. It's better than Infinity War. And I don't want to do that because it's just one of those movies, like, I know it's going to be mind-blowing. I'm going to need to go back a couple times, at least one more time. Like, I'm already planning it. I'm going to probably, no matter if it's good or bad, go back a second time just because I know that this movie is going to be just so, like, overwhelming. And so it's the same thing with Infinity War. I kind of notice things and process the movie better a second time. That's just how it works. Like, that's how my brain works. I can't take it all in the first time. So, guys, like I said, I've been planning this forever, and even till today, I'm like, am I really going to film a video of me in front of the camera talking about my top 5 favorite MCU films before the movie comes out? No, because like I said, Endgame might blow that out of the water, and it really won't make a lot of sense, but I will just suggest and tell you my favorites. Just my top favorites. Can it be 5? Sure. I'll make it 5 of the MCU movies. Right here and now, I'm just going to lay it out. This is going to be the way to celebrate Endgame coming out, is just tell you my favorite Marvel movies, and like only MCU though. I'm only going to keep it in the MCU franchise, the 22 film franchise, since Avengers Endgame is the 22nd film. Guys, it's just, I'm so excited. Me and Ashley watched Infinity War We watched the entire MCU before watching Infinity War, and it was such a treat to watch from Iron Man to Infinity War and Ant-Man and the Wasp, because Ant-Man and the Wasp actually came out after Infinity War, so it's really weird seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp on my shelf after Infinity War. And then we got Captain Marvel, and then we got now Endgame, so it's like, that's 22 film franchise. And then Spider-Man Far From Home is going to be the 23rd. This thing has been going for 11 years, and I would like for you to let me know if you've kept up with it, if you've watched every single one. If you haven't, if you missed a couple, like, that's fine. Please stick around, and maybe you could take my top list as a recommendation. But I think the best way for me to treat this top list is just general favorites. 5 general favorites of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because these movies are worth talking about. Because I was telling my friend Dylan tonight through text, like, it's Star Wars and this, and I don't mean that as, like, Star Wars is number one. I actually prefer, yes, I prefer the MCU, because they have more under their belt. There's more story. There's 22 films in now. There's more story, so I've seen 21 of them. There's more story to it. Star Wars is great and everything, but Star Wars will always be true to my heart. Like, it'll always, be close to me, like, the nostalgia. The music itself just gives me chills just hearing it. But now, the MCU is now to a point where even since Iron Man 1, any music used from any of the movies, like, totally sets me in the tone. Like, earlier, I was humming the Avengers theme. Like, that in itself is giving me chills. And, by the way, I'm going to wake up before going and seeing the movie, like, later, because I'm going to sleep between now and then. But anyway, I'm going to go see it, and I swear I'm going to put on the Avengers theme when I wake up, just immediately set myself in the mood. I'm going to get all, like, I'm going to put a Marvel shirt on. I have an Infinity Gauntlet shirt, thanks to Dylan for giving me that for my birthday one year, and it has Thanos on it, and it says, "Come and get me." So I think that's literally perfect, because they are going after Thanos this time. I've got a feeling. So anyway, let's get to this list, guys. So 22 films in the franchise. We got Iron Man. We got The Incredible Hulk. We have Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, Avengers 1. I'll just call it Avengers 1. Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, I always just call it Civil War for short, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and Avengers Endgame, and then soon after that we will have Spider-Man Far From Home. So which one of these are my personal favorites? Well, the one reason that I didn't want to just do an actual top list was because, like, it changes all the time. Last year, whenever I watched the MCU, all of it, before Infinity War, it's just a tradition thing. Like, I don't know, like, I'm just one of those geeks that does stuff like that, and I love doing it. So we watched it all again this year, and I loved and disliked different ones all over again. Like, it just changes. I'm the same way with Godzilla. Like, some Godzilla movies just go higher than others upon a rewatch. It just happens. And if you're a nerd like that, where you have franchises that you like, but you can't really ever decide what is your favorite, it kind of... Because to me, The Empire Strikes Back is an amazing Star Wars film, but Return of the Jedi, those two flip back and forth for me, like, as the favorite. If someone was to ask me, what's your favorite Star Wars movie, I would just jump and say The Empire Strikes Back. But movies are so, like, vast and so, like, different sometimes. You don't know how to pick. It depends on what you like. And Return of the Jedi is, like, the best ending Star Wars ever had. The best wrap-up it literally ever had. Vader dying at the end still chokes me up, and it's just so, so good. But as a whole film, though, an entire movie, though, Empire Strikes Back is built better. But I still am like, does that ending of Return of the Jedi make it my favorite, or does Empire Strikes Back make it my favorite just because it's a better, just laid out movie? I don't know. But MCU's been going on since 2008. So let me just say right here, and this is not me going in order of the MCU. This is just literally my first, I guess you could call it number 5 pick, is Iron Man 1. And I'm just going to give like a little mini review of each one of these and make them quick. I'm not going to keep you for an hour today, but Iron Man 1 is a fantastic movie that a lot of people do not, that I feel like don't really shine their spotlight on it that much, because I don't know really why, but for me, I love it. It's close to my heart. It's literally one of the MCU films that I've seen the most, probably because whenever I got it on DVD when it first came out in 2008, I just freaking, like, I watched it and watched it and watched it. And little did I know that it was building this giant universe that we would come to love and appreciate. It's just, it is what it is. When Nick Fury pops up at the end, that was basically a test. Kevin Feige and everybody, they didn't know necessarily where it was going to go. They didn't know if it was going to be successful. They literally risked everything to see if it was going to be successful, or after that, they were going to have to get some of their character, if it didn't work, then they'd have to give away some of their characters, because there's like rights, because Spider-Man is actually owned by Sony, and all of these stuff, all the technical stuff. But Iron Man 1 is just really underappreciated. I love Terrence Howard in it. He plays a great, like, pre-War, his before he became War Machine, but you know what I mean, like, a great early stages of Don Cheadle, I guess. I still kind of wish Terrence Howard could have stuck around, but I understand, because he's in so much now that he probably dodged a bullet by not signing himself onto such a franchise. But anyway, Jeff Bridges is fantastic in the movie, and it's just a great, like, kind of war story. Like, I love the whole, like, well, not really war story, but a billionaire that has an accident, is basically going to die, but this man saves him in a cave, and, like, what he has to do to break out and everything, and him becoming Iron Man because he realizes, what he created, his weapons that his company sells, is bad. Like, just one of those great stories of a guy basically becoming a knight in shining armor, literally, like, through just, his own doing. So it's a fantastic movie, and it's very underappreciated. Let's go down the list here. Like I said, this is a very rough favorites list, so I will just jump in and say The Avengers. The very first Avengers movie in 2012 was literally something that we had never seen before. It was the first time for all of these characters that we've built up since 2008. And the phase one was such an important phase, setting up all these characters, and when they finally come together for the first time, is it cheesy goodness? Does it have a different tone than a movie like Infinity War? Yes, it does. It's kind of like, it's a little bit more cheesy than these more serious, grounded tones, because I would argue that since The Winter Soldier, they've been doing kind of this more serious tone, because The Winter Soldier is the same two directors of Infinity War and Endgame and Civil War. So, but when Joss Whedon was in charge, like, these movies were what they were, and just, man, I'll never forget the scene where Bruce Banner, says, like, the big whale thing, the big alien thing's, like, coming at him, and I'm always angry, and, like, he just turns around, and while he's turning around, he's becoming the Hulk. Like, there's nothing better than that shot of that, and, like, the cheering in the audience. Like, these movies just, like, once they build up all of this stuff, you come to love the characters. Whenever it's executed with these big cheering moments, like, all I'm hearing about Endgame is that you're going to cheer, and some people are literally standing up during the movie, because it's just that, like, just that. Because if it can give you that feeling of cheering and, like, and just being in awe and chills, and if you start to cry, whatever, like, that makes a great experience in the theater, makes a great movie, and one to keep returning to, even whenever it's owned on Blu-ray. Avengers 1 gave that to us, first time for these characters to come together, and, like, it just paid off so well. Like, Avengers 1, I think when we watched it this time, I loved it even more than I ever had. Avengers 1 did something really special, and Endgame is just going to escalate that. So let's go down the list. Captain America, The Winter Soldier. That movie set the tone. I'm going to be honest, wasn't really sure about it when I first watched it, because it was so different. And then after multiple viewings since, I love The Winter Soldier. Like, it's really, really, really well done. And, introducing, Bucky, like, ends up being the Winter Soldier, like, and it's just like it's so good because it ties back to the first Avenger whenever we think he died, and like just this story about these two basically brothers, because Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes were literally like they were in World War II together before Cap froze in ice. So whenever he comes back and it's revealed that it's him, spoilers by the way, if you haven't seen The Winter Soldier, but if you haven't seen it by now, it's been a movie since 2014. So, but yeah, like it was just so cool seeing like these friends come back together again, as enemies because Bucky couldn't remember anything. They kept wiping his brain, and Hydra kept doing that, and just Bucky being this like presence through time and through the years and all the assassinations he's done. It's this really deep story of a brotherhood and something like Bucky couldn't help. He couldn't, he couldn't like stop in any of it. Like he couldn't like make, he was brainwashed. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Like there's nothing he could have done to change what he did, and like they used him as a weapon. Like he literally used his body like a freaking like puppetry. And it made it for a really deep and impactful story that ties back to World War II, the first Avenger. Like, it's insane. And, like, I applaud the movie for even existing because it was the first, I think it was the first, it was the first time the Russo brothers have came in to do, so you could tell the tone was set. It was changing. It got more serious. But once it treats itself as more of like an action thriller than anything, than a superhero movie. It's really more of like a spy thriller, in a way. So, really love The Winter Soldier. That one is just definitely way up there for me, and I will never not really, really like that movie. Definitely not like my top favorite, but it's really high once I've gave it more viewings. I think I'm changing it up here right on the drop of a dime. There's not going to be 5 of these. I'm going to have to name a couple more because I'm looking at the list right now and I cannot fit 5 of these movies. I can't. It's literally like I'm bouncing back between these few movies, like at least 3 movies. I'm having a fight of what's better and I just can't. So I'm just going to say it. Ant-Man. The original Ant-Man was something I did not expect to be as good as it was. It introduced a level of action that I've never seen, like with him shrinking and getting bigger and all this stuff. Like, the whole shrinking thing is, like, absolutely insane, and I love that Hank Pym in the movie, like, makes a reference to, this is nothing like the Iron Man suit, and it was after a movie as such, like Age of Ultron. Like, Age of Ultron was such a big, like, was a really, really great Avengers movie, but it was also but it just isn't to me as good as the first one. So to come off of that and then get something like a surprise of Ant-Man directly after, I was so happy with it, guys. Like, Ant-Man was so much better than I expected. Like, and freaking Paul Rudd is perfect. He is as perfect as Ryan Reynolds is to Deadpool, in my opinion. I can't see Ant-Man without him. I was just watching it. We just watched Ant-Man and the Wasp the other day because, we're watching the whole franchise. So that was the last one we had to watch, and I realized Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, this guy is so freaking funny. I know that most of this stuff he improvs. Like, I cannot wait to see Ant-Man's role in Avengers Endgame. It's going to be nuts. I can't wait because he's finally in it. He wasn't in Infinity War, and I was kind of I was sad about that. But Ant-Man has literally become one of my favorite characters of the MCU. So his original film, it's better than his second film, but I really, really love the original movie. I can't go without talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. This Homecoming is so fantastic. Like, after they introduced Spider-Man into this MCU and Civil War, couldn't probably have been a better way. They don't beat you over the head with the origin story. It's just too freaking fantastic. Like, Tom Holland plays Spider-Man so well, and like the best probably since Tobey Maguire. I loved all of the incarnations of Spider-Man so far, but Tom Holland just is a young Peter Parker perfectly. It's just nuts, guys. Like, I can't believe that the casting is so good. Whenever he has like the mask off, I just see comic strips of Peter Parker standing without his mask. Like, I know that's a nerd thing to think about, but when Spider-Man is just has to take his mask off and he still has the rest of the suit on, I see Peter Parker just on screen. Better than anybody has ever had the look of the part than anyone. Like, Homecoming introduced a really great way to, like, have humor and, oh man, Vulture. They finally gave me Vulture, guys. I've been waiting on, like, a Spider-Man movie to give me Vulture for so long, and Michael Keaton, I would have never expected to play Vulture, and he plays that so perfectly. And I'm not even gonna lie, the recent time that we watched Homecoming, I again, another situation where I loved it more than I ever have. I don't know what it was. I don't know what happened to me, but suddenly my brain woke up, and I'm like, oh, Homecoming is just so freaking good. And I'm not saying that I never liked it, but I just never was. It just never was one of my favorites. But I think now it's definitely way up there, and I just have to give it some spotlight. Ragnarok. What can we even say about this movie? This was Thor's perfect movie. This was Thor 3, but Thor done right. If you wouldn't have done Thor 1 and 2, I think it would have been just fine for them to do this movie, and this would have been it. But no, Thor 1 and Thor 2 were kind of needed to get to a better place with Thor. And even today, Taika Waititi still wants to make, the director of Thor Ragnarok, still wants to make a Thor 4 with Chris Hemsworth, and I actually think that they're in discussions to do that. That is, if, if Thor doesn't die in Endgame. Hopefully he doesn't, because I really love Thor. I've loved Thor since Avengers 1. I have loved this character so much, and nobody liked him. Nobody liked Thor like how I did back in the day, and now he's now he's cool, and now everyone's jumping in on the fun. Like, Thor's cool now. It's like, well, he's been cool the whole time, in my opinion. It's just they have never really directed him right, and Chris Hemsworth nails this role. He's super funny. Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth together, Thor belongs as just this humor, because you can't do a story like Thor where it's this serious, like it's too serious. Like, Asgard is like a place where it looks like freaking heaven, basically, and like, you can't do it too seriously. It's got to have kind of like a way to make fun of itself, and Thor Ragnarok is perfect for that because it was so freaking funny. Loki is like my favorite in that film in general. Like, that's my favorite time that Loki's been on screen, is in that movie. Hela, the villain, I forgot her name in real life, but like, she's fantastic. All of the characters that are in that movie, like all the different planet. Korg is literally played by the director. I don't know if anybody knows that, but it's the big rock guy that's like, hey man, like, he's always doing the hey man voice. Like, it cracks me up, dude. Thor Ragnarok is a pure gem, and one that I've returned to multiple times, and I can't, and by the way, Thor and Hulk's fight in the arena was so good, and it kind of, to me, falls back to whenever they fought in Avengers 1, because whenever everyone's trying to maintain Hulk and turn him back into Bruce at the beginning, Thor had to fight Banner for like a little bit, and so it kind of, to me, like, tied back to that, and so now they got to fight again, but on a different planet, and now we find out Hulk has been on a different planet after he left on a jet, in Avengers Age of Ultron. Like, he disappeared for many movies. He wasn't in Civil War, and nor was Thor. So it made sense, like, while Civil War was taking place, that Thor and Bruce would be on their own adventure together, and it was kind of this buddy cop movie, like, very, very good and very funny, and I cannot express that enough. If you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, that's probably one of the most that I would say go watch that, but go watch it only if you enjoy superhero humor. If you're one of those people that get taken out of the movie because, superhero movies shouldn't have this much humor, well, then you don't get Marvel. Then you don't understand how Marvel works. Like, I think it's great to have, like, all the brutality and everything, but also be, like, charming and fun, and also kind of for kids if you want to be, there's nothing wrong with it. Thor Ragnarok hits that on the nail perfectly. What can I even say about Captain America Civil War? The Civil War has broke out. I don't know if you guys remember, but they teased Civil War as Marvel's Serpent Society, and it was a trick. At like Comic-Con or whatever, they announced Civil War, but they tricked everybody. It was like they put on the big screen like Serpent Society, and everyone went crazy. And then they were like, "Just kidding," and they even made a logo for that. And then it was like, "Just kidding," and then Civil War came up, and everyone went nuts because that was like such a good. I never read Civil War. I never read the actual comic. I heard it's a lot different, but whatever. But yes, Civil War was just too good. It's kind of like, I don't know, I've never really thought of it as Captain America 3, though. Every time I think of Civil War, just since it has Iron Man and everybody in it, it's more of an Avengers 2.5. If we're being honest, we all know that. Avengers 2.5 is what Civil War is, but it's so good. Introducing Black Panther, him just looking amazing, and like Chadwick Boseman coming in. They introduced Black Panther and Spider-Man in it, which was amazing because I always loved Black Panther, but I've always loved Spider-Man even more. And there will not be there's no freaking like that. I don't know if you guys remember that teaser they dropped when they finally showed Spider-Man, because we all knew Spider-Man. Marvel has bought half the rights to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's going to be in Captain America Civil War. And so when they showed that little teaser of him stealing the shield from Cap and flipping backwards, landing on the car and saying, "Hey everyone," like I went nuts. Like that was so good. Like that was Spider-Man holding Cap's shield. And not to mention when he blocks Bucky's punch. That was another clip they showed that was like Bucky versus Spider-Man or something like that. And he stops Bucky's punch and he's like, "Oh, dude, you got a metal arm? That's awesome." Like these little moments that are just cherishable, guys. And whenever it flipped back to Queens, whenever you knew Tony was going to go talk to Peter Parker, and we were going to see Peter Parker for the first time in the movie, like, it was crazy. Like, introducing Spider-Man was a big deal, and I'm so happy that they did. Very Steve Ditko with the suit, by the way, but as for the Civil War in itself, like, it's a sad movie, though, because you don't want these people to have two different sides and battle it out. You don't want, but it kind of needed to happen, because at the end, Tony and Cap have their big fight. Tony finding out that Bucky was the reason that Tony's parents are killed. Like, he killed his parents back in the 1990, I want to say 91 or 92. I can't remember the exact date. But yeah, like, that fight is so, like, not cringy in the way of, like, bad, but it's so, like, you don't want them to hurt each other, but it's weird. I don't know why, but Civil War is just like the one of the main movies I look forward to when watching the MCU all over again. It's like one of the main number one movies, but it's the Avengers versus the Avengers. That's all basically it is, but it's so fantastically done. And I've never seen, by the way, a movie that is so colorful yet so like dark at the same time. Like, dark as in, like, if you look at like Vision's colors on his face versus Age of Ultron, it's a lot of a darker shade now. And like Cap's shield and all that, like, you just notice things. Everything's like a darker red. But I wouldn't really say that for like Infinity War or what I've seen of the footage for Endgame. And that's the same. The Russo brothers did Civil War as well. And for some reason, Civil War just seems darker colored, but it works. It just looks so freaking beautiful to look at, and like, I love it. I love that movie so much. To me, it's better than Winter Soldier. I'll take it over Homecoming any day. It's so. I'm just gonna shut up about it. It's just good. All right, the last one I'm gonna talk about is Avengers: Infinity War, ladies and gentlemen. Avengers Infinity War came out a year ago, and we are just too spoiled. We're too spoiled as Marvel fans. We're too spoiled to get Part 1 and Part 2 of Infinity War 1 year after another. Part 2, as in Avengers Endgame, has hit, and just yesterday was the day that I think we watched Infinity War a year ago, and that's when it came out. That movie filled so much. It's left a huge gap in a shoe. like empty that has to be filled by Endgame. Endgame has got to be so good to be better than Infinity War, because Infinity War might be the best one. I know some people that prefer other Marvel movies over it and whatever, like, you know, but Infinity War really did something special. It's all been leading to this, ladies and gentlemen. It's all been leading to this showdown with Thanos. Thanos has been teased in and out of Marvel movies so much. We barely got a glimpse of him at the end of the first Avengers, and we also got him in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. We got a cameo of him talking and everything, and he even kind of looked different, so they've worked on the CGI and stuff since then. But by the way, that's been Josh Brolin ever since the sneak peek thing of Thanos at the end of Avengers 1. It was always Josh Brolin acting as him, which I think is great. So they planned from the very beginning, it's going to be Josh Brolin, and he's going to be fantastic, because he is. Thanos is a presence. Thanos is just so good in Infinity War, like, the fact that he wants to wipe out half of life, and, like, he's so evil, but, like, it's almost on this level of, like, you can see his perspective, even though we personally probably wouldn't want half of the universe to be destroyed, but there's also this, like, well, the world needs correcting. If we don't correct it, then it won't ever be corrected, so I'm the one that has to do this, because I'm the only one that wants to do this. He has a whole scene where he says this. Like, but he's a presence. Hulk coming in at the beginning, and you think Hulk's going to be able to take care of this, right? And then Thanos is like, nope, I have combat training. Thanos has been combat trained. It's insane. Like, this movie is just too epic, and after I've seen it more and more times, I think I love it and love it much more. Last time I watched it, I got emotional after. I haven't really got emotional over that movie since, like, one of the first times that I saw it. Like, it's just the music, everything. The snap at the end is so beautifully done. It's literally just so, like, no music. No music playing at all when everyone's turning to dust. And so now, it's at this stake. Infinity War came out and ended up being really, really good. How the heck are the Avengers going to pull this off? We don't know. All I've heard is from Avengers Endgame is that it's got so many surprises, and I'm excited. As a Marvel fan and a fan since Iron Man 2008, I am ready for this movie. I'm literally emotionally ready. But as of right now, I'm just enjoying this wait. I'm going to probably wait in line for 2 hours tonight, and it's going to be just... This is going to be an experience like no other. This is the end game. We are literally in the end game now. We're literally in this final chapter of a 22-film experience. And it's finally coming to an end, guys. And I just want to be able to celebrate with you in some way. So I'd made this video just for that. And I hope that if you've listened this long, I love you for it, and I hope that you leave a comment on your top favorite. It doesn't have. You can put a top 5. You can put a top 10. You know, just give me a general favorites of the MCU that you love. If you're a fan, and even if you've just seen a few of them, name those too. Endgame is here, guys, and I cannot express the excitement. I'm going with Ashley's sister and her sister's boyfriend Rick, and Ryan's gonna be there, and like it's gonna be like we're gonna be like a group, like, and every single one of us is a fan. We all love this franchise, so I cannot wait to just freak out to this movie. And I personally predict that I'm going to just be overly excited. I'm going in with low expectations. Let me clear that up really quick. I'm going into Endgame with low expectations. I have general high expectations, but I'm going to wipe those clean at the door. Sometimes with movies, you got to just leave your expectations at the door before you go in, and go in just with a clean slate. I'm going to try my best to just wipe my brain, like, don't expect anything. Just go in and enjoy this event, because Avengers Endgame is like an event, more so than a movie. So I hope you guys enjoy it if you go out tonight. Like I said, Endgame, you know, like you can see the movie Thursday nights. Check with your theater, like maybe you didn't know that, maybe you want to catch a showing tonight. And let me know if you did. Let me know if I helped you out on that. I may not help anybody. People probably know that, but I know there's probably a few people that don't know that you'd be able to watch it tonight. This is a big moment for us Marvel fans, so do whatever you can to enjoy Avengers Endgame. Let me know if you see it, guys, and thank you guys as always so much for watching. I'm glad that I was able to do this in this way because I wasn't really sure pretty much since January, like not really knowing, and I'm glad I did it this way now that I'm finished, just because there was no way I could have done like a short edited me on camera, like 6-minute, maybe 7-minute, 8-minute video of me talking about my favorites, because it's just, there's so much to say about each movie that it's hard to do like a short synopsis, like, I don't know. So I'm glad I did it the way I did, and let me know what you thought of this way that I did this. Next time you talk to me, I will have seen Avengers Endgame, and you can bet I will be doing a non-spoiler review, edited short, as good as I can, because I know I'm going to be just stunned coming out of this theater, but I'm going to come out, do a video for you guys, short non-spoiler review, and then we will come back to the podcast and do a spoilers review. And I've already got Ryan joining me for that whenever we see it, because we cannot wait to go into this movie into detail. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. Talk to you later. Peace out and Trav out. I said that backwards, but whatever.